Hey guys, it's Rudy. I have something on my mind for the past couple of days, and I figure I just need to get it off my chest. This is a little thing called truth, and there's a couple of reasons that I'm talking about this and recent events mostly. But my basic premise for this audio recording is going to be truth is a waste of time. Seeking truth is a waste of time. You're really just dwelling in the past if you're seeking truth. There's a couple of reasons why I came to this conclusion, and the biggest one is my own experiences in my own life. Because guys, your life is a good enough teacher, quote unquote. Your life experiences are enough to wake you up. You don't need a teacher, you don't need a guru, you don't need a YouTuber, you don't need some guy talking about what hit the Pentagon or what hit the towers, were there planes, were there no planes, anything like that. You don't need any of those kind of people. You don't need me. You don't need a Jesse Lee Peterson. You don't need anybody. Your own life is a sufficient enough teacher to point you to the truth. To tease out the real you, not this fake you, this clown makeup that you put on every day in order to go to work and pay the bills, feed the family, feed the cats. Whatever you got to do, you can take that clown makeup on and off. And I'm speaking from personal experience because I can take off that clown makeup on and off whenever I want. It's time to be the husband. Well, I'm always a husband and I'm always a father, but it's what I've been put on this earth to do. It's what I've been put on this planet to do. What I've been put on this spiritual realm to do. And it's my life experiences that led me to that conclusion. Because I hear a lot of talk about people wanting to clock out, essentially. It's like, how do I clock out? How do I get out of the system? How do I separate myself from the straw man? And you can't do it. And you can go through the legalities of separating yourself from the straw man. But the big problem with that is you're asking for permission from the keepers that put you in the straw man situation to begin with. So the kind of people that going around with lawyers or whatever they do to separate themselves from their legal fiction, from their straw man, their first name caps, last name caps, like Matt likes to say, you're wasting your time because you're asking for permission from the devil to release you, which you can't do that. You're already free. And a lot of you aren't going to like what I'm about to say, but you were free the moment Jesus was crucified. And I'm not one of those kind of people that just says that willy-nilly. Maybe I'll dig into that someday, but to me, being a Christian is just the acknowledgement of Jesus was the perfect man living on earth and the closest to perfection we ever got, because he had his moments where he was kind of a moron. Maybe I'll get into that someday too, but I really do truly think that he was still a human being. He made mistakes. He actually admitted to those mistakes in the Bible, believe it or not. But the people are so dumb, right? The Christians are so dumb. They're so blind. They can't even see when Jesus makes a mistake and admits to his mistake and moves on. He doesn't dwell in the past. He doesn't dwell on seeking truth. None of that bullshit. His own life was sufficient enough to be a teacher for him, which led him back to God. That was his enlightenment. I've talked about it before when I talked about my past, and I think the 2 videos ago where I talked about my past. What is enlightenment? Who was Buddha? Who was Jesus? These are just smelly men who had their mess teach them about what life is about. But I'm not going to get into that. Go watch that video if you really want to get into that. But what really got me thinking about this truth is a waste of time thing is because you're dwelling in the past, right? In order to find truth, you have to dwell in the past, and the past doesn't exist. And off of that supposition alone, you should realize for yourself, either you should or shouldn't, I don't care. Like me personally, I don't care what you do, but it should lead you to the conclusion that seeking truth is a waste of time. And it doesn't mean my channel's going to end. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop talking about things. It just means that just be careful about dwelling in truth, because you may get sucked into rabbit holes that you don't want to be sucked into. And I will give you an example of what led me to think these things recently, very recently, like a few days ago. with the help of my coworker Karina. She gave me some really deep insight. I was like, holy shit, how'd you figure? I felt like Luke, talking to Yoda. I was like, oh my goodness. But I can give you my personal experience of why I started thinking this way as well. After she kind of brought it to my attention, I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, this isn't necessarily my idea. These aren't new ideas. Like, where she got this insight from didn't come from her either. It came from something else. It came from her own life experiences, her own conversations with people, and her observations of other people, and her experiences in her life. She didn't have some guru, jackass, stupid teacher tell her these things. But I'll give you my personal experience first, and maybe I'll get into hers a little bit. She doesn't mind if I talk about these things, so I have permission from her to talk about these things. Don't worry. But me personally, I was at work checking customers out. That old chestnut, and 2 customers in a row who didn't have their shit together in terms of, like, they didn't have money essentially in their bank account, and I think at least one of them was a female, one of them was a mother. You can tell she was a mother because she talked about her kids a little bit, but she had like nothing in her bank account, and her card wouldn't go through. And it took her like 30-40 minutes to finally get a friend to come in and pay for her stuff. And I don't know if that was a side hustle or what. It could have been a hustle, it couldn't have been. I don't know. I don't know the story, but if she's a sucker getting suckered, it's whatever. These assholes tend to attract each other in many ways. So to me, that's a cautionary tale of who you hang around with. But that's besides the point. So 2 customers in a row that just don't have their shit together. And these people are like in their 40s, in their 50s, just don't have their shit together at all. You can just tell their life is a mess. And I know it's bold of me to say these things when I don't know them, but you can tell, man. Like, you could tell if you ever worked in customer service, you can tell the kind of person you're dealing with or kind of people you're dealing with. And it got me thinking, you know what? My mother had me when she was like 34, newborn baby, right at the vagina. Doctor spanks me on the ass. She's in her 30s. She's in her mid-30s. So my father died when I was 5, so she died shortly after I was born, 5 years later. So she was in her 40s, single mom, and she's still acting like these people do. Like, and I'm 39, I'm about to be 40, and it's like my daughter's 11. So it really got me thinking, like, what was my mother thinking? Like, what was she doing? All she wanted to do, I've talked about this so many times, all she wanted to do was, she was bad with money, like these people are, and that's what got me really thinking about it. She's bad with money. All she wanted to do was party and go to bars and meet guys and play pool and all that good stuff. Play poker, smoke, drink. All that shit that you do, you get out of your system in your 20s, then you get in your 30s, you're like, okay, I got to get my shit together. I have a kid now, but it was never like that with her. And I'm thinking to myself, and I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm a better parent. I'm just saying, like, I'm 39. I know what I have to do in my life to make sure my daughter is taken care of physically and spiritually. And it's like, what the hell was going on with her? And this is what really got me realizing that it didn't matter anymore, because, like, what was going on through her mind doesn't matter. Like, I wish I could, not wish, but it would be nice to have a conversation to ask her, hey, Mom, you were in your 40s, you were a grown woman, how come you were doing these things while raising a child by yourself? And that would be an interesting conversation. And I wouldn't come at her with an angry attitude. I wasn't angry, like, when I was thinking these things. I was just thinking to myself, like, what was wrong with her? Like, what was going on? Like, legit just wondering. And I'm sitting here realizing, after I had a conversation about Karina, about her little experience. I'll get into that in a second. And I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter, because I've had my enlightening experience. I had my little Satori. It doesn't matter by this point, because I understand the invisible hands of Lucifer that were kind of manipulating her mind, which would be the trauma she went through as a child for her in her life. Her own experiences led her to do these things, and she wasn't in control. She didn't have free will. If there was free will, there's very little free will. And that's what made me realize, like, wow, it really don't matter. Like, the truth doesn't matter, because that would be the truth, right? I'm asking for the truth. If I were to have a conversation with my mom today, if she was alive, it would be like me seeking truth. And it doesn't matter. Like, this truther thing is like a waste of time. If you know, like, If you're awake and you know these things and you're aware of these things, like, the truth doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how the Maui fires started. It doesn't matter if there were 2 planes or no planes or how many towers fell or the Pentagon or whatever. Like, you're dwelling in the past. We were supposed to be getting over the past so we can live in the present. We're supposed to be letting go of that anger associated with the past. Like, finding truth is all about dwelling in the past. It's such a waste of time, guys. And to me, it's okay to talk about these things as long as we're not angry about it. Because I noticed that a lot of times when truthers, quote unquote, especially in the comment section, they seem angry about the situations, like the Maui fires or whatever. Were they trying to take their homes? Whether was it a conspiracy? Blah blah blah. Like, and it matters to those people that are going through it, but it doesn't matter to the people that aren't going through it. Like, let those people that are dealing with it deal with it. They're living in the present. They have their own little mess to take care of. The people in the United States or in other countries that are bitching about these fires and this conspiracy, it's like, it's none of your business. It doesn't matter. You're dwelling in something that doesn't even involve you. You're dwelling in the past that didn't even happen to you, and you'll find that to be the case with so many people who are just wasting their energy and wasting their time and being anxious about the future and being angry about the past. And this shit don't matter anymore, dude. If you had an awakening and you... Alright, I got cut off. Alright, I got interrupted there for a second. Where are my glasses at? There they are. Alright, I got interrupted for a second. See if I can kind of pick up where I left off. So the whole trying to find truth thing is a waste of time. That's the point I was trying to make, which I really do believe it's a waste of time. And the way Karina kind of came to this conclusion and what made me open my eyes to what was really going on when we think about these things is that I've told her story before, which is about her reunited with her father after being away from him for over 30 years, and the lies that her mother had been telling her about her father. And it wasn't just her mother, it was also her aunts and her brothers that were giving her false information, when the reality was that her father was trying to get them moved over to Texas, and it was the mom that was keeping them from doing it, who was being stubborn, who just wanted to live with her parents and all that. So she reunited with her dad. They talk, they talk every day. They hang out every now and then. He lives in Texas, she lives here in Louisiana, but they still talk. Well, she started getting into a conversation with her aunt about what was going on, and they're still harping on this thing about, like, trying to tell her that she's being brainwashed in some way by her father, which that isn't the case at all. It was all about opening her eyes to the lies and getting the truth, because she's had conversations with her dad, and he's just completely upfront with her. He's apologized to her for abandoning her. He talks about how wrong it was, and he's trying to make up for it now. And it's real eye-opening when when she has these same conversations with her mom, that she just doesn't admit to any kind of wrongdoing whatsoever, according to Karina, right? I'm telling her story, paraphrasing her story. But like I said, I got permission from her to tell it, and so she begins having a conversation with her aunt, and her aunt is like basically trying to still paint her father as the bad guy, and trying to get into it with her over the phone about how her mother did this or that, or how her father did this or that. And finally, she started saying to her that, look, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, these things don't matter. According to Karina, finding the truth doesn't matter. It only matters to her aunt, because her aunt wants Karina to live in the past with her and kind of bring her down into hell in that way. And that's kind of really what it boils down to: being sucked down into the pit of hell by dwelling in the past. And a lot of times, finding truth is that exact thing. Like, you're trying to find truth, quote unquote, and all you're doing is digging the hole into the past, into hell. And Karina was telling her aunt these things, trying to get her to back off, essentially saying, look, I don't care anymore. Like, not only am I past that, but I've forgiven my father and my mother, and I feel like I'm me again. I feel like I can be the real me not these weird these weird habits I took on, or the clown makeup I had to wear, or whatever, um, and all that good stuff, and all that kind of stuff. And she was telling me this story, and it really really hit me. I was like, oh my god, like wow. And like I knew it to be true, like just right off the bat. It's like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like I never heard it put that way. It's really interesting. And kind of let it stew for a little bit, for like a day or two, and then it dawned on me when I started dealing with these customers, how they're kind of acting like the way my mom used to act, and wouldn't mind having a conversation with her, and my father too. I mean, obviously, I'd love to talk to my father, but I can't. Like, I can get in touch with his family, like like his side of the family, his brothers and sisters have tried to contact me before, and the girl who tried to get in touch with me, I looked at her Facebook page, and it's like, I don't want anything to do with that, because it's just there's kind of just drama oozing out of that Facebook page that I just don't want any part of. So I just ignored her. She sent me a Facebook message. She found me on Facebook, and not only that, she got her brother to call me one day. They got my number from my aunt. See, these guys, these are all yellow flags. These are all red flags that it's just going to be a mess. So her brother calls me, and I didn't answer my phone because I keep my phone on silence, first of all. And I listened to the message, and he's basically saying, "Look, your aunt wants to talk to you really bad. She wants to get to know you, blah blah blah." This must have been after a football game or something, because it sounded like they're in a parking lot, a busy parking lot, or something like that. I can kind of hear her in the background of the voicemail, and I just deleted it. I deleted it because, first of all, I don't understand why she didn't call me herself and leave a message for herself and speak for herself. These cowardly way of doing things to me is cowardly. It's like, to me, these are red flags just immediately. Like, and this is the sad part about it. Like, before I really woke up, before I forgave my dad, I probably would have been all over that. But it's like, I don't need to talk to my aunt or my uncle on my father's side to get to know my father. I already know my father. Like, the only thing I can really say is that it might be nice to have a conversation, but I have a feeling that they would try to suck me into their problems, into their mess, and try to get to know my family and try to cause mess that way. And it's like, I'm not falling for that bullshit. Like, I got away from Texas to get away from them, all of them, my mother and my father's side, because my father's side had nothing to do with me. Like, they had a little bit to do with me soon after my dad died. Like, I have like maybe one or two memories involving them, but it's not their place to get to know me or try to take care of me or buy me things. And they tried to do that. Like, at first they tried to get to know me. I don't really know what the story was. Like, I was really young, right? So I remember them kind of being around for a little while, and then they just kind of disappeared from my life after that, which is fine. Like I said, it wasn't their responsibility. It was my father's responsibility, but he expired, so the mantle went to my mother, and she did what she did. And like I said, it would be a fun conversation, but I don't need that conversation. I don't need it anymore. Like, that's the same with this truther thing. Like, it's fun to me. It's fun to make these videos. I'm having fun, like, maybe looking into conspiracy just a little bit. Like it's okay to do these things as long as you have the right mindset of, this isn't me. I'm just doing this because it's entertaining. You listen to whatever YouTuber you listen to, and just take it with a grain of salt and move on with your life. And I think that's it, guys. I think maybe I rambled on a little too much for a video that could have been 5 minutes long, and I intended it to be a lot shorter, but I kind of went off a tangent a tiny bit. All right, y'all have a good morning. Bye-bye.